I don't know what's going on. No, no, no. Oh, it's cold in here. Do, 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 do. I'm singing. Oh, sure. I get a. This is good enough. This is what I'm doing. I'm not changing it. What is this black thing in the corner, though? Oh, it's my camera. Is that okay? I don't like it. Okay. Well, no, I'm gonna do. There we go. That's better. I'll just have to remember to work up higher because the webcam's in my way and you guys couldn't see. So, all right, for this one, I am using the Authentique Collection Freedom because, you know, it's the 4th of July and everything. It just made sense to me, right? And I used blue cardstock and red cardstock. I think the blue was from Recollections and the red was from Hobby Lobby. The red is not that thick. The blue is pretty thick. So there's that. I used ATG, score tape, scissors, stuff like that. And then I have a 1/2 inch and a 3/8 inch punch. And Dr. Pepper. You cannot craft without Dr. Pepper. Am I the only one that has stamps, sets with stamps missing? And now I feel like I have to buy the stamp set again because dumb me, they're so little. All right. Well, my hair is wet. I took a shower and I was like, you know what? I think I'm gonna go live. And so here we are. I'm trying to pull it up on my computer so I can see. It's weird not being able to hear myself. I mean, I hear myself, but all right. So let me get these out of the way. I'm working a little awkward here. Where's the chat? Here we go. It looks fine. It's paused. Is my camera paused? No. My phone's hooked up to my Wi-Fi, so it shouldn't like pause, but I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not doing, yeah, it's paused on the screen too. What's going on? Looks good, paused here, looks fine. Okay, now it's moving. I don't get it. So I'm gonna have to try not to rip my phone off the shelf. I have to find a ruler. Lord, Lord, Lord. I just had 2 of them. Okay. So this one is, let's do inches. It's 8.5 inches tall by 7 inches wide. So the covers are 8.5 by 7. The spine is 3.5 by 8.5. And then here are the pages. And I did the binding like I did my last album where I just scored 1/2 inch, and I'll show you that here in a minute, but I just scored 1/2 inch so that I could use the actual page for the binding. There's no like hinge system on this one, and I used a lot of paper on this one too. So I want to, so it has this page, and then it has a flap, which I'll have to bring down so you can see. And then on this, there's a little tag that comes out. So it's like a card. And then when you flip it over, there's these 2 cards. And then the flap again flips up. And you have that. Now, Photographs and Memories sent me this paper, and the pack of paper, there was I don't know, several sheets of the thicker cardstock. It's a little bit textured as well. It's still this from the same collection, the Authentique collection. I believe it's Freedom. This says Heroic paper. So she sent me Freedom and then several sheets of the Heroic paper and then the little 3x4 cards. So she has these in her shop. So if you use the code SUPERHAPPY, you get 10% off your order. I think it's your whole order. I don't think it's just like stuff of my albums or whatever. So I think that's all I use. Alright, so we're gonna make, oh, it's called the Honor Journaling Cards. That's what I was looking for. Authentic Life Cards. There we go, there we go. Alright, so I'm gonna move this. And I have the paper cut already. And I'm just using typing paper for the demonstration. Oh, golly, golly, golly. Am I in the frame? I need to get over. Okay. So, the measurements of the paper that you will need are 11 by 8. And 5 by 8.5. You'll need, and then a 5.5 by 8. And then a 6 1/4 by 8.5. A 3 3/4 by 4 1/4, a 4 3/4 by 3 1/4. Oh, my work surface is bad. It's a desk, like at my old job at Triple Crown. They got all new desks, so they sold all the other ones. So it's an L-shaped, like, office desk. So it's pretty actually big, but look, I'll show you. You guys ready? So this is what it looks like. I mean, really, people? How many people's rooms look this, like, disturbing? And I have everything bought to redo my room, but I just don't want to. I'm lazy. Alright. It's real life, people. I don't have a fancy room. I'm not into interior decorating. I work. Okay, so thank you, Kathy, very much. Thank you. Alright. So is it straight now or is it crooked? I don't like crooked. No. There we go. I'm trying to watch this full screen on my computer, but like I don't apparently I'm just an idiot. I don't know anything about this stuff. I don't even know why I make videos, because apparently something, I don't know what, but alright. So we're gonna mess with the 8.5 or the 8 by 11 sheet first. And why does it keep on doing that autofocus crap? Autofocus! I'm not touching anything because it's good. So the 8 by 11 piece, you're going to stick it in so that the 11-inch side is at the top, and you're going to score at 1/2 inch and then at 7. And this is what's going to create, oh man, I cracked my album. Look at that. Oh well. This is what's going to create this base page here that everything else sticks onto. Get that out of the way. Oh no. And I should have wet it. Alright, so I'm going to put that aside now, and I'm going to get out the 6 1/4 by 8.5. So the 8.5 inch side is at the top. I just reorganized my spa room, feels good. I know, I need to. Okay, so the 8.5 inch side is at 1/2 inch. And then we're going to score again on the 5.5 by 8.5 side. The 8.5 inches at the top, and we're going to score at 1/2 inch. Have I ever shown you guys my full room, how bad it is? I mean, there's like, I just had chili, so there's a chili bowl, and there's boxes and totes everywhere. It's bad. Yours still says waiting, and who's waiting? What are you waiting for? I don't know, I'm sorry. So the 3 3/4 by 4 1/4, I'm gonna score on the 3 3/4 side at 1/2 inch, and the 4 3/4 by 3 1/4. We're gonna stick to the 4 3/4 inch side is at the top, and we're gonna score at 1/2 inch. Bye, Kathy. Happy 4th. And then I'm going to move my scoreboard here since we have everything scored. So again, the first piece that I'm going to mess with, wait a minute, maybe that's where I need to be. Do I need to be up here? I'm forgetting already. Is the 8 by 11. We scored at 1/2 inch and then at 7. So I'm just going to fold on the 7 and I'm going to fold in. And then this 1/2 inch flap, this is what you use to attach to your spine of your album. So you have several pages, and I put the tape on the back, and then I lined it up on a line that I drew, and then I attached it down, and that's what I'm using for the binding in the album. I don't think I scored one. I didn't. The 5 by 8 1/2, I forgot to score that. Oh man, I got paper everywhere. So on the 5 inch side, I'm going to score at 1/2 inch, and then at 4 1/2, and then on the 8 1/2 inch side, I'm going to score at 1/2 inch, and this is going to create a pocket. And we're going to put the pocket here. So I'm going to fold on these score marks, and this is where you need to decide on the top of your pocket what you want to do. Hello, if you want to, like I used the border, or the border punch, I used the hole punches. And so I used the 1 3/8, so that way I can use the bigger 1 1/4 inch punch when I mat it, so it was like easier to get the matting to look right. Okay, so I folded on all my score marks, and it creates these squares on the bottom, which we're going to have to cut out. So now I'm just going to cut at an angle and to cut out the corners of both of those squares. So you'll want to do this every time you create a pocket so that you don't have bulk. It's just like in sewing. When you create corners, you cut them out. Alright, this thing is driving me nuts going up and back. So now I'm going to fold all my flaps towards the back of my pocket, and I will show you how I do the punch, just in case, you know. I figure out where the middle of my paper is, and yes, my Tim Holtz ruler is all janky. So because I know this is 4 inches, I'm lining it up. There's 2 inches on the side, so I'm just going to make a mark in the middle of it. I lined the back of some of my punches with the 1/2 inch, not the 1/2 inch, but the halfway points, so that when I punch stuff like this, I can line it up halfway in the paper, the lines on the side. I don't know why I can't freaking speak today. And then I line up the line I made with one of these 2 lines here that I made, and then I punch. And sometimes I don't punch. You guys ever have that? I need to get the tin foil out. If you have a punch that isn't as sharp anymore, if you punch it through tin foil, for some reason it sharpens it. I don't know why. I learned that when I sold Stampin' Up, and it actually works. Alright, so there's my janky pocket, and we're going to put it to this flap. I'm just going to open it up just so that it's easier for me to work with. And on the back of this, you're going to want to put a strong adhesive. You can use wet glue, or you can use double-sided, like I use score tape, so I call it score tape, but there are many brands out there, and actually there are many brands that are all made by the Suquang company, so they're all the same. So just find the cheapest one and go for it. I just buy from ScorePal, score-pal.com, because I was thinking about making kits and stuff, so I got a license, so I have the distributor wholesale license, so I get a discount on them, which I don't know if I'm supposed to claim or not. I don't know. Alright, so now I'm applying adhesive to those flaps. And I'm going to flip this over. And I'm going to line up this folded edge just on the left side of this folded edge of the paper, because you don't want it right on the fold or else it won't fold. So I am just lining it up and then making sure that it's lined up on the bottom. This is weird working so far away from yourself. Make sure it's lined up here. And my scoring abilities suck, so nothing's ever going to be straight. So then you can burnish it down to make it go wherever you want. The paper listens to you. If for some reason you have some overhang like I do, just flip it over and cut it off. I always have, I don't know, I always have janky edges. Alright, so now this is the front. And on my album, I have the biggest of the two flaps here. But I didn't want it to be the exact same size as the page because then it wouldn't fold right. So it's just a smidgen. It's 6 1/4 inches, and I think the page is 6 1/2 inches. So it's just a smidgen shorter. And we have this top flap at the top. I did record a video last night of me making this album, so maybe I'll post that too, so there's not so much chit chat if somebody wants to just watch the video. I like to chit chat. My mom. My mom. Well, I don't know what the last thing I told you guys was, but the cancer came back and it spread to her lymph node next to her lung, not like lymph nodes that are in different parts of the body. So it spread from, like it was in her left lung, and I think now it's in her right lung. And it's a small spot, but they're doing immune therapy treatment on it. So she's had one treatment of that, and they say it has less side effects than chemo because she can't have chemo anymore. She can't have radiation because of the damage it did to her organs. Her kidneys are not doing well. So they said that she has to do that, and if it works, she has to have it once every 3 weeks for the rest of her life. And me being me said, well, how long is that going to be? Or how long does she have to have the treatment? And they said for the rest of her life. And I said, well, how long do you think that is? Which was the stupidest question to ask, because then they said, oh, maybe a year. Maybe a year. So I don't understand if they're saying she has to have the treatment for a year or if she only has a year to live. From what I understand, it's only a year to live. So then she was in the hospital last week. She couldn't breathe. So at 2:30 in the morning, I hear her say my name, and I go in the living room, and she's like having a hard time breathing. So I call the ambulance, and I'm kind of upset because I didn't realize, I don't know if I've ever said this, I'm sure I have like a thing for firemen. And I was too panicky to even notice who was in my house at the time, but I get into the car to follow the ambulance, and I realize that there's a fire truck sitting in front of my house. They were in my house, and I didn't even notice. So I was yelling at Mom for that, joking around with her, yelling at her, you know what I mean? I'm like, Mom, there was firemen, I didn't even notice. All right, so now I'm gonna flip this over. I have this flap here, and if you want, you can add pockets here, or I try not to put pockets on flaps because then when you lift it up, the stuff comes out, but whatever. So you can put a pocket here if you want. I give you the measurements for that. So it would need to, the pocket would need to be like 7 1/2 inches wide, and then you could squirt 1/2 inch on each side, and then however deep you want the pocket, add 1/2 inch for the fold on the bottom. So then, okay, so she was in the hospital. She just got out Thursday, and her car was being fixed, and so she finds out her car is dropped off at home. She takes off in her car, and I'm like yelling at her, telling her that you shouldn't be driving because you just shouldn't. You know, I mean, this flap, the one that's 5 1/2 by 8 1/2, I'm just gonna center it on the top here. I have the 1/2 inch, and I put the adhesive on there. You can miter these corners if you want. I don't know on this type of thing, since it's going in the middle, if that matters that much, but so I'm just gonna center it in there. So yeah, she took off in her car, told me to F off, that she was the adult. Well, she is, but she said she'll only drive if she feels good. I'm just worried about her injuring somebody else, and then she's gonna have to live with that. I wouldn't want to kill somebody. I mean, I've wanted to kill people, but you know what I mean. So here's the last two flaps, and I was trying to make them, I was gonna make one so it sat horizontally, because I was assuming that these journaling cards would be horizontal and vertical, but they weren't. They were all vertical. So I ended up switching the placement of these and putting them like this. So if you have vertical cards, you can use them on this flap and then put the flap on the side, or you can put this one on the top and to be the vertical, however you want them. But in my case, all the flaps were vertical. So thank you. It is very stressful being a caregiver, because especially when it's your parent, because you know, like I was raised in the era where you respected your elders, and you don't yell at your parents and everything, but I actually had to, my whole family was mad at my husband and my boys because she just went off on me and it wasn't good. And then I went off on her. So later on that night, I went in and gave her a hug. I said, I'm not sorry for what I said, but I just want you to know that I love you. I was being a spoiled brat. So there you go. And there's that. So it's done. It's really easy. Now, I don't know. Some people have asked me about this binding, if it was going to come off or rip off or something. I've never had any binding on any of my albums ever rip off. I've had the glue come off before I used the score tape. I used, it wasn't the red line tape, it was some other, like, ooh, what was it? It was like, I had got it like 10 years ago, and it was made for putting glitter on top of. So it was sticky, but it wasn't like super, super sticky. So you'd place it down on your paper and then you'd rub the glitter on it. So it was a long time ago that the tape was made. I don't think it was made to hold papers together and stay. But anytime that you have glue like this that never dries, if you live in a dry area, it'll dry up and just come off, you know. So I love Dr. Pepper. Right now they got a campaign going. If you turn in 3 UPCs, you get a free t-shirt. So this is done. How do I upload my videos to YouTube? Like my normal ones, I use this webcam that I think it's a Logitech something. Yeah, it's a Logitech. And that's how I record my videos. And then if I have to audit or edit them, I use Movie Maker and I save it to my desktop. And then I just upload it to YouTube. I don't know. My connection seems pretty good. My son's got one of those strength booster things. So, oh, I forgot to tell you what the measurement was of these little tags that go inside these long pockets. And then this is 7 inches by 7 3/4 inches. And so I folded it at the 3 3/4 mark to get these little things to put inside there. And this is where having the 2 different sizes of punches came in handy. So when I punched the pocket, I just lay my cardstock down on it where I want it, and then I take my bone folder and I just make an indentation where the pocket is, and then I take the bigger punch and line it up with that, and that's how I always punch out these. There's probably a different way to do it. We're gonna cook out later, so hopefully my mom, she said she's gonna go outside with us, so it's just harder for her to breathe in the heat. But she's actually been using her oxygen more. That's part of the problem. She had like, you can have an asthma attack. Well, apparently when you have COPD, you can have a COPD attack, which could be caused from all the stress from not using the oxygen. So even though she doesn't use the oxygen and she feels like she's 96% or a 97% oxygen level, she feels like she's okay, but then it causes more strain on her heart and her lungs. So there's that. So I have so you can go to Photograph Memories, and I'll put the link in this video bar, so when it uploads it'll be here, and use the code superhappy, I think, for 10% off. She sent me, I don't know if I said this in this video, if it was the other one, but she sent me this, and then she also sent me Work Hard, Play Hard. So I'm gonna do an album with this. She sent them to me way before Father's Day, but because of everything going on with my mom, I haven't done them. So this would have been a good Father's Day type of paper. But I might make a folio for this and make it like a birthday boy theme. And I have to make I don't have to, but I'm gonna make an album for a girl I work with's daughter committed suicide. She was being bullied. She was 17. So I'm going to make an album for her to put her daughter's pictures and stuff in. And these people got to stop bullying people, you know? So I'm going to use this paper pack for that. Purple's her favorite color. There's a little bit of purple in here, so I might end up buying a different paper pack for that. And then I'm going to make some cards. So there's going to be a lot of pockets in this one because I'm going to make cards so that people in her family can write down memories, like good memories. So she can stick them in the album, and then that way she can go through the album with the memories and stuff. So she doesn't know that I'm doing it, but that's what I'm doing. My chili bowl. I just knocked it off too. That's great. That's what I'm doing. So I saved these two cut aparts. These are from the Heroic paper line. So I was going to put them on the front. The last album that I made that was military, I sent it to my cousin. She was in the Navy, and I think her husband still is. I don't think he's retired yet. She said she liked it, but I don't know if she ever used it. So I was going to cut one of these out and put it up there. I have some blings, some stars, and stuff like that in my stash that I just never seem to use. And that was it. I know it's a short one, but now you guys have something to make on the 4th of July. Who do you bling a paper? I don't know what your first name is. I'm sure it's not Bling, but try uploading like at night when there's less people on the internet. A lot of times if people have connection problems, it's because their internet provider doesn't have, like, it reminds me of that commercial, a big enough door, you know? And everybody's trying to use it at once and it gets clogged up. Yes. Yeah. And you know what? Some of like if my kid was ever rude to somebody or mean to somebody, I would know about it, you know, because I would see how they treat other people in public. I know kids can pretend to be somebody they're not, but I think they can't pretend all the time. And you can see, like, mine, even my 21-year-old, if you live in my house, I have access to all your social media. That's just my rule. And I will go in and I will look at anything that you say. That's why he got his social media taken away, I don't know, about 8 years ago. He got it taken away for 4 years. He couldn't be on any social media. So I think parents have a responsibility to make sure that they're communicating with their kids. Like I tell Blake, because he's a senior in high school now, if you ever see a kid get bullied, you need to step in and stop it. And he's like, what if I get in trouble? And I said, then you call me. You know, he says, what if the kid tries to punch me? And I said, then you defend yourself. Don't start a fight. Don't go and instigating anything. But if you see somebody picking on a kid, all you have to do is walk over to the kid that's being picked on, put your shoulder around him, and walk off with them. You don't even have to say anything to anybody. So, I don't know. This is my belief. What do I know, though? I don't have any girls, so I don't have to... I imagine... I don't know, for me, I think girls get bullied a lot easier or a lot more than boys, because girls can be... We can just be total crazies when we're younger. And it doesn't matter if you have acne or a big butt or anything. You could be a beautiful, beautiful person inside and out, and they'll still find something to bully you about. I don't know. I like how with this binding, and I'm sure that there's other bindings that do the same thing. Like, I think maybe Stack the Deck does it, where it just lays down flat when you're done with the page. But you can see that this quarter or this half-inch piece, I just butted up against the next one. And if you're worried about it ripping, then you can certainly use a really thick cardstock, or I actually made the album with the Tyvek. It was a little hard with the Tyvek, I will admit that. I mean, it doesn't like want to bend really easy. Linda, you're gonna go to McDonald's. Well, there you go. I mean, yeah, parents, I think, have to take responsibility for their kids. And I think that's what these younger parents aren't realizing. I had children young. So actually, I'm not, it's like my generation, I think, because I'll be 41 in a couple weeks, and I think it's, you know, Blake's my youngest, and a lot of a lot of people, that would be their oldest child. So I just started young. I didn't want to be like 90 and still have kids. And my husband's older than me too, so he's not like ancient. He's 50. I make him sound like he's ancient, but he's not. He's 50, so. You're welcome, Susan. This whole time I've been playing with the album. Well, have a happy 4th of July, guys. And if you have any questions on this, just let me know. Like I said, I did record me actually putting together this album last night. So maybe I'll post that later. So you started early too, Linda. I think maybe our generation did. Women weren't expected to go to college. They were expected to get married, and you know, back when I was in high school, we didn't. I mean, it was like the only time you needed to go to college is if you were going to be a specific lawyer, doctor, something like that, some kind of career that needed the education for it. I just started school last week, actually, so I'm doing online classes at Indiana Wesleyan. I know when you're in transportation, you don't need a degree. You can make really good money. And then when they closed, now I'm in insurance and risk, and it's like everybody there has a degree. So, and you can't be a manager at this company without a degree, which I think a lot of companies are doing now. So if I want to move up, I have to have a degree. So my old brain is learning new tricks. Your son was kicked out of school for defending a boy with Down syndrome? What kind of school is that? That's just craziness. These schools, and the schools lost all their power, because I remember I got spanked in school. I'm still saying to this day, it was in 4th grade. It wasn't my fault. The boy kissed me. I didn't kiss him. And I got spanked for it. I don't remember if he did or not. He probably did too, but I don't remember. He kissed me on the playground. I think he was a nice boy. I don't remember. His name was Stacy. That's all I remember. It's kind of ironic. My first kiss with a guy named Stacy, and I married a guy named Shannon. Little TMI there for you guys. Well, guys, I'm going to go now. Have a lovely 4th of July. Be safe out there. Don't start any fires. If you're on the West Coast, stay away from the fires.